Long before cities rose above the horizon, before the first seeds were planted, or the first myths were spoken around firelight, humans walked into a world alive with giants. It was a planet shaped not by machines or monuments, but by colossal mammals, towering birds, armored beasts, and predators so powerful their shadows commanded entire valleys. To the first humans, these animals were not relics of a forgotten age. They were neighbours, rivals, and sometimes lifelines. Their presence guided seasonal migrations, influenced early tools, and carved themselves into the earliest expressions of art and meaning. This is the story of that ancient world, a world of vanished titans, and of the humans who first stepped into it, wide-eyed and vulnerable, yet destined to become the most transformative force the Earth had ever seen. The woolly mammoth. The Ice Age tundras stretched endlessly under a pale frozen sky, a vast landscape of wind-swept grasses, frozen lakes, and scattered shrubs that seemed to extend to the horizon. In this harsh, unforgiving world, one of the most iconic giants roamed the woolly mammoth, Mammothus primigenius. Towering at up to 13 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing as much as 10 tons, these magnificent creatures were living testaments to nature's ability to craft organisms capable of thriving in extreme conditions. A dense coat of long, coarse hair enveloped their massive bodies, layered atop thick fat deposits, which provided insulation against Arctic winds that could plunge to unimaginable lows. Their tusks, sweeping in dramatic arcs that sometimes exceeded 15 feet, were not mere appendages. They were tools, weapons, and instruments of survival. They stripped bark from trees, dug beneath snowdrifts to reach hidden vegetation, and in the hands of nature became weapons of defense against predators or rival males during mating confrontations. To the first humans who encountered them, the woolly mammoth must have been both a marvel and a terror, creatures that seemed to belong as much to myth as to reality. The mammoth's anatomy was a reflection of the Ice Age itself. Every muscle, tendon, and tusk had evolved to withstand cold and scarcity. Massive shoulder muscles supported the weight of their heads and tusks, allowing them to push through deep snow and ice. Their feet, wide and padded, acted as natural snowshoes, distributing weight across soft tundra and preventing them from sinking into the frozen mud. Herds, typically led by a matriarch, moved with incredible coordination, navigating over vast distances in search of grazing grounds. Females led the young to shelter and safety, while mature bulls roamed the periphery, competing for access to mates through displays of strength and tusk-locking duels. Early humans, observing these behaviors, would have quickly learned to recognize not only the danger, but also the social structure of the herds, knowledge that would be essential for survival and hunting strategies. Human interactions with woolly mammoths were complex and multifaceted. While these animals were enormous and potentially lethal, they were also critical resources for survival in the frigid north. Fossil evidence and archaeological sites show that humans hunted mammoths for meat, fat, and hides. Strategic hunting required ingenuity. Humans would drive animals into natural traps, such as frozen rivers, cliffs, or bogs, or use fire and coordinated attacks to separate individuals from herds. A successful hunt could provide sustenance for an entire village for weeks, as well as materials for clothing, shelter, and tools. The tusks and bones were repurposed for tools, art, and even structural supports in dwellings. Cave paintings found across Europe depict mammoths in careful detail, indicating that humans were not merely hunters, but also acute observers of these giants, fascinated by their majesty, behavior, and symbolic presence. In these artistic renderings, Mammoths are often shown in motion, charging, feeding, or interacting with other species, suggesting that early humans recognized their role in the broader ecosystem. The woolly mammoth's existence was closely tied to the Pleistocene environment, a world that supported a variety of megafauna. They coexisted with giant ground sloths, saber-toothed cats, bison, and prehistoric horses, forming a dynamic and interdependent ecosystem. Mammoths shaped the landscape as much as they were shaped by it. Their grazing influenced plant growth, their movement created pathways across the tundra, and their dung fertilized the soil, sustaining plant and insect life. Early humans, attuned to these patterns, could track the herds, anticipate migration routes, and plan settlements nearby. The mammoth was not only a resource, but also a teacher, its behavior providing lessons in the rhythms of life, survival, and adaptation to extreme climates. Yet even creatures of such magnitude and resilience were not immune to change. As the Ice Age drew to a close, rising temperatures transformed the mammoth steppe into forested regions and wetlands less suitable for these enormous grazers. Human hunting pressure, though relatively limited in number, exerted a disproportionate impact due to the mammoth's slow reproductive rate. Fossil records reveal that small populations persisted on isolated Arctic islands, such as Wrangel Island, until roughly 4,000 years ago, coexisting briefly with humans in a world that had already been dramatically altered by warming climates and human activity. These last survivors were living relics of a bygone era, a final testament to an animal that had once dominated the northern continents for millennia. To the first humans encountering them, the woolly mammoth was a creature of immense practical value and profound psychological significance. Its presence influenced where humans camped, how they hunted, and even how they told stories. Tales of mammoth strength, cunning, or sheer size may have been shared around fires, inspiring awe, caution, and respect. Its disappearance marked not only the loss of a critical food source, but also the vanishing of a species that had defined landscapes, ecosystems, and human imagination for tens of thousands of years. Today, the frozen carcasses, preserved tusks, and fossilized remains provide scientists with unparalleled insight into the Ice Age world, a world where the first humans walked side by side with giants, learning lessons in survival, adaptation, and reverence for the raw power of nature. The saber-toothed cat. In the shadowy forests, open plains, and river valleys of the Ice Age Americas, a predator stalked the twilight, a creature so perfectly honed for killing that it dominated the imagination of humans who first glimpsed it. The saber-toothed cat, Smilodon fatalis, though smaller in stature than modern lions or tigers, carried a pair of elongated upper canine teeth, curved and razor-sharp, measuring up to 7 inches long, that were deadly tools for precision attacks. Unlike the massive teeth of later predators, designed merely to puncture, the saber teeth of Smilodon were specialized weapons, evolved to deliver swift, lethal slashes to the soft throat and belly of megafaunal prey. Muscular forelimbs, broad shoulders, and retractable claws allowed this feline to grapple and subdue animals far larger than itself. To the first humans encountering Smilodon, these cats would have appeared as shadows made flesh silent, efficient, and terrifying. Moving like living spectres through forests and grasslands, eyes glowing in the dim light, muscles rippling with lethal intent, the saber-toothed cat was a master of ambush, relying not on endurance or long chases, but on stealth, power, and precision. It inhabited areas rich in prey. Herds of bison, young mammoths, camels, ground sloths, and other large mammals of the Pleistocene. Its hunting strategy was built around patience and teamwork, though evidence suggests Smilodon often hunted in pairs or small family groups rather than large prides. From concealed vantage points, it would wait for the right moment to pounce, springing with devastating force. The forelimbs gripped, held, and immobilized the prey, while the elongated canines delivered a swift, fatal bite. Early humans observing such feats would have been struck not only by the animal's efficiency, but also by the terrifying elegance of its predatory skills, a reminder that the natural world favored cunning as much as raw strength. Fossil evidence, including preserved bones, skeletal pathologies, and bite marks, tells a story of both violence and survival. Smilodon often preyed on animals heavier than itself, but injuries found on fossils suggest it could also survive wounds inflicted during hunting attempts, demonstrating resilience and tenacity. To humans, direct encounters were dangerous, and avoiding these predators would have been as vital as hunting for food. There is evidence that humans may have observed and learned from saber-toothed cats' hunting patterns, timing their own hunts to avoid competition, or even scavenging from carcasses felled by these fearsome hunters. Some anthropologists suggest that early humans may have used fire, traps, or coordinated group strategies to mitigate the risk, showing that human survival often depended on keen observation and adaptation. Beyond its lethal efficiency, Smilodon also had a profound ecological impact. As an apex predator, it maintained balance within its environment, culling weaker or sick individuals and shaping herbivore populations. Its presence influenced the behavior and distribution of prey species, which in turn affected vegetation, soil composition, and even the migration of other animals. Humans entering this world would have found themselves in a delicate web of predator-prey relationships, where every movement could mean life or death. Learning to navigate this web, understanding the habits of Smilodon and its competitors like dire wolves and short-faced bears would have been essential for survival. Stories passed down through generations may have immortalized encounters with saber-toothed cats, shaping early human myths of death, courage, and cunning. The physical appearance of Smilodon was both formidable and fascinating. Unlike modern big cats built for speed, it was heavily muscled, with a barrel-shaped chest and short, sturdy limbs designed for power rather than sprinting. Its elongated upper canines, though deadly, were surprisingly fragile and required careful use to avoid breakage. This specialization reflects an evolutionary trade-off. Smilodon was not designed to chase down prey over long distances, but to strike decisively once in range. Its powerful jaws and neck muscles compensated for its relatively small bite width, allowing it to clamp and hold large prey with precision. Early humans, witnessing even glimpses of these creatures, would have been acutely aware of the risks inherent in crossing their paths. Human interactions with Smilodon were complex and indirect. Archaeological sites rarely show evidence of direct hunting, as engaging a full-grown saber-toothed cat would have been suicidal, but humans likely scavenged from their kills. Bones of megafauna show signs of both predator and human modification, indicating that humans exploited the ecological dominance of these cats for their own survival. Some paleontologists even suggest that early humans may have observed, learned from, and respected Smilodon as both a threat and a teacher in the art of hunting and survival. Its very existence demanded that humans innovate, coordinate, and adapt, fostering early social structures and problem-solving skills that would prove essential for the species' long-term survival. The extinction of Smilodon coincides with the end of the last ice age, roughly 10,000 years ago. Though regional variations exist, climate change altered ecosystems, reducing the abundance of large prey species, while human populations and hunting pressure increased. This combination of environmental stresses proved too great for a predator specialized for big game hunting. The disappearance of Smilodon, along with other apex predators like direwolves and short-faced bears, triggered cascading effects across ecosystems. Large herbivore populations fluctuated without natural predators, vegetation changed, and the delicate balance of Pleistocene ecosystems shifted irrevocably. For early humans, these changes required adaptation, new hunting strategies, new knowledge of prey behaviors, and new ways of interacting with the natural world. In many ways, Smilodon left a legacy that transcends extinction. Fossils, beautifully preserved in tar pits and sediment, allow scientists to reconstruct anatomy, behavior, and ecology with remarkable detail. Its powerful, elegant form continues to captivate our imagination, inspiring books, documentaries, and scientific inquiry alike. For the first humans who glimpsed this predator in dim forests or along riverbanks, it was not merely an animal, but a symbol of raw power, lethal precision, and the eternal struggle for survival in a world dominated by giants. Its image remains etched in the collective memory of humanity, a cautionary tale, a marvel of evolution, and a reminder that the world humans entered was one of awe-inspiring danger and relentless beauty. The mastodon. Long before modern humans roamed North America, the dense forests and wetlands were home to a towering prehistoric cousin of the elephant, the mastodon, Mammut americanum. Often confused with its more famous relative, the woolly mammoth, the mastodon had a distinctly different body plan, diet, and ecological role, making it a unique presence in the Pleistocene landscape. Standing up to 10 feet at the shoulder and weighing nearly 6 tons, mastodons were massive yet deceptively agile, moving through the forest undergrowth with surprising stealth for their size. Unlike mammoths, which grazed primarily on grasses and tundra vegetation, mastodons were browsers, feeding on leaves, twigs, shrubs, and fruits from the dense forests they called home. Their conical, ridged molars were perfectly adapted to grind tough, woody plants, while long, curved tusks served multiple purposes, digging through soil for roots, stripping bark from trees, and engaging in occasional combat with rivals or predators. To the first humans who encountered them, mastodons were awe-inspiring embodiments of strength, patience, and the intricate balance of forest ecosystems. The mastodon's habitat was as much a part of its identity as its enormous frame, thriving in swampy river valleys, wetlands, and deciduous forests. These creatures shaped the environment as they moved through it. Their foraging habits altered the landscape, opening up paths, knocking down small trees, and creating clearings that allowed light to reach the forest floor. These clearings, in turn, supported diverse plant and animal communities, highlighting the mastodon's role as both engineer and keystone species. Early humans, following the subtle signs of mastodon activity, broken branches, overturned logs, and dung, would have recognized patterns in their movement and feeding. Tracking these giant herbivores required patience, careful observation, and a deep understanding of forest ecology, skills that were essential for survival in a land of predators and giant prey. Mastodons, while not predators themselves, were formidable opponents for any creature that dared approach. A single swing of a tusk could fell a predator or inflict serious injury, and their sheer size deterred most carnivores from attacking healthy adults. Even the saber-toothed cats, or packs of dire wolves, that roamed Pleistocene forests had to carefully consider their approach, often targeting young, sick, or isolated individuals. Early humans, learning these dynamics through observation and trial and error, would have understood that hunting a mastodon required immense planning, collaboration, and courage. Evidence from archaeological sites suggests that humans utilized a combination of natural traps, ambush tactics, and coordinated group strategies to bring down these colossal animals. While dangerous, the reward was equally monumental. Vast quantities of meat, fat, hide, and bone, sufficient to support a community for extended periods. Human encounters with mastodons left a profound mark on early culture. Cave and rock art depicting these creatures, along with the bones and tusks fashioned into tools and ceremonial objects, indicate that mastodons were not merely prey, but symbols of power and endurance. Stories of giant, forest-dwelling beasts may have been passed orally for generations, inspiring caution, respect, and perhaps even spiritual reverence. Unlike smaller prey, the mastodon demanded that humans think on a larger scale, collaborate in hunting efforts, and adapt their tools and strategies to match the challenge. The interaction was not simply physical but intellectual, a test of ingenuity and foresight, forging early human social cohesion and cultural identity. Fossil evidence provides extraordinary insight into mastodon life. Well-preserved skeletons, sometimes with traces of flesh and tusks, reveal not only anatomy but behavior. Injuries on bones, healed fractures, and bite marks suggest interactions with predators and conspecifics, offering a glimpse into the daily struggles of these enormous herbivores. Fossilized footprints and trackways allow scientists to reconstruct herd behavior, migration patterns, and habitat use. Mastodons were likely social creatures, traveling in small family groups, with adult males roaming independently or in bachelor groups. The social structure, though less complex than that of mammoths, would have influenced human strategies for tracking and hunting these animals. Understanding these behaviors gave early humans a survival advantage, demonstrating the deep connection between human cognition and the ecosystems they navigated. The extinction of the mastodon around 10,000 years ago illustrates the vulnerability of specialized megafauna. As the Ice Age ended, forests changed, wetlands receded, and the ecosystems mastodons relied upon were altered dramatically. Human hunting, though relatively sparse, had a disproportionate effect on populations that reproduced slowly and relied on specific habitats. Climate change, coupled with habitat loss and human pressure, created a perfect storm for extinction. Fossil records show that the last populations persisted in refugia, isolated forests or wetlands, before disappearing entirely. The loss of mastodons reshaped forest dynamics, with cascading effects on vegetation, other herbivores, and even soil composition. Where mastodons had once travelled, cleared paths, and nutrient-rich dung-nourished plant life, influencing ecosystems for thousands of years, a legacy that vanished with their extinction. To the first humans encountering mastodons, these giants were living lessons in patience, power, and ecological balance. Their slow, deliberate movements through the forest, combined with the immense force of their tusks and sheer size, demanded respect. Early humans learned to read subtle signs, the sound of breaking branches, the flattened vegetation along a herd's path, or the deep impressions left in soft mud. Tracking mastodons was not merely a means to an end, but a form of engagement with a living ecosystem, an early form of environmental literacy born of necessity. Each encounter offered knowledge, cautionary experience, and sometimes life or death stakes. The mastodon was a teacher, a challenge, and, ultimately, a reflection of the intricate web of life humans were learning to navigate. The mastodons are remembered primarily through their bones, tusks, and the occasional preserved carcass in peat bogs or tar pits. But even in their absence, they continue to inform our understanding of the Pleistocene world. For scientists and enthusiasts alike, these creatures embody a vanished era of megafauna, where enormous herbivores shaped landscapes as much as predators ruled the plains. For the first humans, encountering the mastodon was a transformative experience, shaping hunting practices, survival strategies, and cultural expression. In their massive, lumbering form, mastodons represented the immense challenges of life in Ice Age North America, a world where humans were learning, adapting, and emerging as master strategists in a land ruled by giants. The giant ground sloth. Long before modern humans traversed the Americas, enormous, lumbering creatures inhabited the forests, grasslands, and river valleys of the continent. Among them, the giant ground sloth, particularly species like Megatherium americanum in South America and Erematherium further north, stood as one of the most imposing herbivores of the Ice Age. Towering over humans at up to 20 feet, when standing on their hind legs and weighing several tons, these colossal mammals were slow-moving but profoundly powerful, with massive claws capable of stripping branches, digging for roots, or defending themselves against predators. Covered in coarse, shaggy hair and sporting thick, muscular limbs, the ground sloth was an emblem of strength, resilience, and the extraordinary diversity of Pleistocene megafauna. For the first humans who encountered them, these creatures must have been simultaneously fascinating and terrifying giants, whose presence shaped the forests they inhabited and challenged early humans' understanding of scale, survival, and the limits of life on Earth. The giant ground sloth's anatomy was a marvel of adaptation. Unlike arboreal sloths of today, these terrestrial giants were built for strength rather than speed. Their hind limbs were robust, capable of supporting their enormous bulk as they reared up to reach high branches, while their forelimbs ended in long, curved claws perfectly designed for pulling down vegetation. This powerful build allowed them to access food sources unreachable by other herbivores, making them dominant in their ecological niche. Their slow, deliberate movements meant they relied on size and strength rather than agility to deter predators. Though young or sick individuals were more vulnerable to attacks by saber-toothed cats, dire wolves, or packs of humans. Observing a herd of giant ground sloths moving through the forest, early humans would have been struck by their immense scale, the rhythmic sway of their massive bodies, and the quiet but unmistakable force they exerted on the environment around them. The ecological role of the giant ground sloth extended far beyond mere presence. These herbivores were ecosystem engineers, shaping plant communities and forest structure through their feeding habits. By stripping leaves, knocking down branches, and uprooting small trees, they created clearings that allowed sunlight to reach the forest floor, enabling the growth of grasses and shrubs that supported countless smaller animals. Their dung fertilized the soil, distributing seeds and nutrients that sustained the next generation of plants. Early humans tracking these signs could read the subtle imprints of sloth activity, flattened foliage, cleared paths, and traces of dung to locate not only the animals themselves, but also areas of ecological abundance. In this way, humans and ground sloths were intertwined, not as predators and prey alone, but as co-inhabitants of a dynamic, ever-changing landscape. Human interactions with giant ground sloths were likely cautious and opportunistic. Unlike mammoths or mastodons, which could be driven into traps or ambushed in herds, Sloths required a different approach. Their slow speed made them vulnerable, yet their strength and formidable claws posed significant risk. Evidence from archaeological sites suggests that humans may have hunted sloths primarily by targeting young, injured, or isolated individuals, or by using coordinated strategies to avoid direct confrontation with adults. Spears, fire, and ambush techniques were likely employed, demonstrating early humans' ingenuity and adaptability in exploiting the environment's resources. The successful hunt of a giant ground sloth provided immense rewards: meat to sustain communities, hides for clothing and shelter, and bones for tools or ceremonial objects. Beyond survival, these encounters likely inspired storytelling, reverence, and cautionary myths passed down across generations, embedding the sloth in human culture as both a challenge and a marvel. Fossil records of giant ground sloths provide extraordinary insight into their biology and behavior. Well-preserved skeletons reveal evidence of injuries healed over time, suggesting that individuals could survive wounds inflicted by predators or territorial disputes. Their massive claws and teeth indicate specialized feeding habits, emphasizing their role as selective browsers. Trace fossils, including footprints and fossilized dung, offer a glimpse into movement patterns, habitat use, and social behavior. While primarily solitary or traveling in loose groups, sloths occasionally congregated in areas of abundant food, a behavior that humans could exploit for tracking and hunting. These fossils also reveal the deep evolutionary history of the species, tracing lineages across millions of years and highlighting their adaptation to a variety of climates, from tropical forests to more temperate woodlands. The extinction of giant ground sloths, occurring roughly 10,000 years ago, mirrors the fate of many Pleistocene megafauna. Climate change altered habitats, reducing the availability of the forests and woodlands that sustained them, while human hunting further pressured populations. The combination of ecological disruption and anthropogenic impact led to the disappearance of these remarkable animals, leaving a lasting void in the ecosystems they had helped structure. Where ground sloths had once cleared vegetation, dispersed seeds, and maintained forest diversity, ecological shifts followed, altering the landscape and creating cascading effects that reverberated across plant and animal communities. Their loss marked the end of an era where enormous herbivores shaped the land as much as predators ruled it, and it highlighted the fragile balance between environment, species, and survival. For the first humans who shared the forests with giant ground sloths, these creatures represented a world on a grand scale, an environment where strength, adaptation, and strategy determined life and death. Observing them, early humans learned about patience, the consequences of underestimating size and power, and the importance of environmental awareness. The presence of sloths influenced hunting practices, foraging strategies, and settlement patterns, shaping the evolution of human social organization and ingenuity. In their lumbering movements, massive claws, and quiet dominion over the forests, the ground sloths embodied the raw and majestic forces of nature, leaving an indelible mark on the minds of those early humans who witnessed them. The giant ground sloth survives only in fossilized form, a reminder of a time when the Americas were dominated by enormous herbivores that challenged and inspired humans alike. Studying their bones, tracks, and dung allows scientists to reconstruct Pleistocene ecosystems, shedding light on the interactions between predators, herbivores, and humans. For us, as for the first humans, the giant ground sloth stands as a symbol of an extraordinary epoch, a time when survival required ingenuity, courage, and an intimate understanding of a world ruled by giants. In this slow-moving, lumbering giant, we glimpse both the majesty and fragility of life on Earth, a lesson echoing across millennia. The dire wolf. The vast landscapes of Ice Age North and South America were dominated not only by enormous herbivores but also by predators that could challenge even the largest of prey. Among the most iconic of these was the dire wolf, Canis dirus, a species that has captured the imagination of humans for centuries. Larger and more robust than modern grey wolves, dire wolves stood about 3 feet tall at the shoulder and could weigh up to 150 pounds, with powerful jaws capable of exerting immense bite force. Their teeth were large, thick, and designed for crushing bone, enabling them to consume nearly every part of their prey. To the first humans encountering these apex predators, dire wolves would have been both terrifying and fascinating. A relentless hunter whose presence shaped the behavior, strategy, and even the very settlements of early human communities. Dire wolves were built for endurance, teamwork, and efficiency. Unlike solitary predators, they hunted in packs, coordinating attacks to bring down prey far larger than an individual wolf could manage. Herds of horses, bison, and young mammoths or mastodons were their primary targets, and the strategies they employed suggest remarkable intelligence and social organization. Observing a pack in action, early humans would have been struck by the precision of their movements. One wolf might distract or isolate an animal, while others flanked from behind, circling and cutting off escape routes. Unlike the stealthy ambush of a saber-toothed cat, dire wolves relied on endurance, cooperation, and raw power to wear down their prey. In a world where every hunt was a matter of survival, these predators were formidable competitors for humans attempting to harvest the same animals. The ecology of the dire wolf was closely intertwined with the megafauna of the Ice Age. As apex predators, they played a crucial role in regulating herbivore populations, culling the weak, sick, and old. This, in turn, affected vegetation patterns, soil quality, and the overall health of ecosystems. Their influence extended beyond prey populations. By creating carcasses, they provided scavenging opportunities for other species, from birds to smaller mammals, establishing a chain of survival that rippled through the environment. For humans observing this dynamic, understanding the habits of dire wolves was critical. They had to learn where and when packs hunted, how to avoid confrontations, and when it might be safe to scavenge from the leftovers of a kill. Every encounter demanded careful observation and strategic thinking. Physical adaptations made dire wolves uniquely suited to their predatory role. Their powerful jaws and robust teeth allowed them to crush bones that modern wolves could not, accessing marrow and other nutrients crucial for survival in lean winters. Their limbs were long and muscular, built for sustained running over varied terrain, from the open plains of North America to the dense forests of South America. Their keen senses of smell, sight, and hearing gave them the advantage in tracking prey over long distances. Unlike modern wolves, dire wolves were less specialized for speed and more for stamina and pack coordination, emphasizing the cooperative nature of their hunting strategies. Early humans would have quickly recognized the danger posed by these predators, not only in direct encounters, but also in the threat they posed to hunting grounds, camps, and livestock. Human interactions with dire wolves were primarily indirect but highly consequential. Direct confrontation with a full-grown pack would have been suicidal, yet humans learned to coexist, adapt, and exploit the environment alongside these predators. Archaeological evidence suggests that humans scavenged from dire wolf kills, timing their approaches to avoid the most dangerous individuals. In some cases, humans may have used fire, noise, or group tactics to deter wolves from valuable prey. Over time, these experiences likely influenced human cultural practices, including storytelling, ritual, and cautionary tales that emphasize the danger and intelligence of wolves. The direwolf became more than a predator. It was a teacher, illustrating the importance of cooperation, observation, and strategy in a harsh world. Fossil evidence paints a vivid picture of dire wolf life. La Brea tar pits in California have preserved thousands of specimens, revealing injuries, healed fractures, and bite marks that shed light on their social behavior, hunting practices, and interactions with both prey and conspecifics. Patterns in skeletal remains suggest pack hierarchy, social care for injured individuals, and occasional territorial disputes with other predators. Comparisons with modern wolves indicate that dire wolves may have been less nomadic, occupying defined territories rich in prey. Early humans navigating these territories would have needed to recognize the subtle signs of wolf activity tracks, partially consumed carcasses, and scent markers to ensure both safety and survival. The extinction of the dire wolf, roughly 10,000 years ago, coincided with the end of the last ice age. The decline of large herbivores, due to climate change and human hunting, removed the primary food sources for these apex predators. Unlike more adaptable species, dire wolves were highly specialized for hunting megafauna, and the disappearance of their prey created cascading ecological consequences. Their extinction disrupted predator-prey dynamics, opening niches for smaller, more adaptable carnivores and reshaping the structure of Pleistocene ecosystems. For early humans, this shift may have reduced the threat posed by large packs of wolves, but also altered hunting opportunities, forcing adaptation to new prey and changing ecological landscapes. In the eyes of the first humans, dire wolves were both terrifying and instructive. Observing their hunts, learning to avoid or exploit their behavior, and navigating the world alongside such predators helped shape early human cognition, strategy, and culture. They symbolized the raw, unforgiving forces of nature, relentless, intelligent, and unyielding. In their absence today, we study them through fossilized bones, footprints, and tar-preserved remains. But the lessons they imparted persist. Cooperation, vigilance, and adaptation are essential for survival in a world dominated by giants. For humans who first crossed paths with dire wolves, these creatures were not merely animals, they were formidable forces, teachers of caution, and enduring icons of the Pleistocene wild. The cave lion. Beneath the shadowed cliffs, frozen valleys, and open plains of Pleistocene, Europe and Asia roamed one of the most majestic predators ever encountered by humans, the cave lion, Panthera spelaea. Larger than the modern African lion, this feline could weigh up to 700 pounds and stretch over 11 feet from nose to tail, dominating its environment with both size and presence. Unlike modern lions that hunt in coordinated prides, cave lions appear to have lived in loosely organized social structures, their immense power and stamina allowing them to take down prey far larger than themselves. To the first humans who crossed their paths, cave lions were living embodiments of danger, beauty, and raw strength. A creature whose sheer scale demanded awe and respect. Cave lions were apex predators, shaping the ecosystems they inhabited. Their diet primarily consisted of large herbivores, bison, reindeer, horses, and even young mammoths or mastodons. They relied on a combination of stealth, ambush, and brute strength, using their powerful forelimbs to wrestle prey to the ground while delivering fatal bites to the neck or throat. Unlike the saber-toothed cats, whose elongated canines specialized them for precise killing. Cave lions used raw power and muscular jaws to subdue prey efficiently. Observing these predators from a safe distance, early humans would have been struck by the precision and timing of their attacks, the silent, fluid grace of a creature that could bring down animals many times its own size. These encounters were not just dangerous, they were formative, teaching early humans the perils and rhythms of the natural world. The habitat of the cave lion was diverse, spanning frigid tundras, open plains, and lightly forested regions. This versatility allowed them to follow migratory herbivores across vast distances, ensuring a steady supply of prey year-round. Their large paws and muscular limbs were adapted to traverse snow, frozen ground, and soft tundra, while thick fur protected them from harsh winters. Cave lions often used natural shelters such as caves, rock outcrops, or dense vegetation for resting, rearing young, or stalking prey. Early humans, seeking shelter and survival, would have inevitably crossed paths with these predators, leading to encounters that were both dangerous and instructive. The presence of cave lions influenced where humans camped, hunted, and travelled, requiring constant vigilance and adaptation to coexist in the same landscapes. Physical adaptations made cave lions extraordinary hunters. Their strong jaws, sharp teeth, and retractable claws were optimized for grappling and tearing flesh. Powerful shoulders and forelimbs allowed them to wrestle struggling prey into submission, while their muscular hind legs enabled sudden bursts of speed to ambush targets. Unlike modern lions, cave lions had no pronounced mane, suggesting adaptations for cold climates, while their coloration likely provided camouflage against snowy or grassy environments. Early humans observing these traits would have noted their significance. The cave lion was built for efficiency, combining strength, stealth, and precision in a deadly combination that few creatures could match. Interactions between humans and cave lions were primarily cautious and observational, though evidence suggests opportunistic hunting and scavenging occurred. Cave paintings, discovered in European caves, such as those at Chauvet and Lascaux, depict lions with remarkable accuracy, highlighting humans' fascination and reverence for these apex predators. The artistry suggests that humans not only feared these animals, but also recognized their symbolic significance as masters of the Pleistocene landscapes. Archaeological evidence indicates that humans may have scavenged from lion kills or targeted injured or young individuals, employing fire, traps, and group coordination to mitigate the dangers posed by such formidable predators. In this sense, cave lions influenced early human innovation, problem-solving, and cultural development. Cave lion fossils offer extraordinary insight into their biology and behavior. Skeletal remains, preserved fur, and trackways reveal information about their size, strength, and predatory strategies. Bite marks on herbivore fossils confirm their role in controlling megafauna populations, while healed injuries on lion skeletons suggest a social structure capable of support and resilience. Their presence influenced the movement and behavior of prey, creating dynamic interactions that shaped entire ecosystems. Humans observing these interactions learned to interpret patterns, track animals, and predict predator behavior skills that were vital for survival and hunting success. In many ways, the cave lion was both a competitor and a teacher, its dominance shaping human understanding of the natural world. The extinction of the cave lion around 14,000 years ago coincided with dramatic climatic changes and the disappearance of many large herbivores. As ice sheets receded and forests and tundras transformed, prey became scarce, creating immense challenges for apex predators. Human expansion and hunting may have also contributed, either directly through competition for food or indirectly by altering habitats. The disappearance of cave lions marked a significant shift in Pleistocene ecosystems, removing a top predator that had structured herbivore populations and maintained ecological balance. For humans, this extinction reshaped the predatory landscape, reducing risks but also altering hunting dynamics, forcing adaptation to new opportunities and threats. For the first humans who encountered cave lions, these predators were living symbols of nature's grandeur and danger. Observing their power, agility, and dominance imparted lessons in caution, strategy, and survival. Humans had to respect their territory, learn to read environmental cues, and develop collaborative strategies for hunting and safety. The cave lion's image, immortalized in cave paintings and artifacts, became a testament to the deep connection between humans and the megafauna they shared the world with. These encounters were not merely moments of fear or survival. They were profound interactions that shaped human cognition, culture, and understanding of life in the Ice Age. The cave lions are known only through fossils and preserved remains, yet their legacy endures in scientific study, artistic imagination, and the evolutionary history of big cats. For early humans, encountering these magnificent predators was a defining experience, blending danger, observation, and awe. The cave lion stands as a reminder of a time when humans walked alongside extraordinary creatures, learning, adapting, and respecting the raw power of the natural world. In its strength, grace, and silent dominion over the Pleistocene landscapes, the cave lion remains a symbol of life's grandeur and the enduring lessons of coexistence with giants. The short-faced bear. In the icy expanses and sprawling plains of Pleistocene North and South America, one of the most formidable carnivores ever to roam the continent was the short-faced bear, Arctodus simus. Towering over humans at more than 12 feet, when standing upright and weighing up to 2,500 pounds, this predator embodied both power and intimidation. Its name, derived from the unusually short muzzle relative to its massive skull, hints at its evolutionary adaptations for speed, strength, and predation. Unlike modern bears that rely on omnivorous diets and occasional hunting, the short-faced bear was primarily a predator of megafauna, capable of running at high speeds to chase down prey across open plains. To the first humans who glimpsed these giants, they must have been terrifying visions, creatures whose size and sheer dominance demanded vigilance, respect, and awe. The anatomy of the short-faced bear was a marvel of evolutionary specialization. Long, muscular limbs, a deep chest, and a compact, powerful head made it both fast and strong, a combination rare among mammals of such enormous size. Unlike the lumbering giant sloths or mastodons, Arctodus could achieve bursts of speed sufficient to pursue large herbivores such as bison, camels, and even juvenile mammoths over short distances. Its bite force was immense, designed to crush bones and tear flesh with devastating efficiency. The forelimbs, armed with massive claws, could grapple, pin, and subdue prey, while its hindquarters and hips provided explosive power for sudden lunges. To an early human witnessing such a predator, even from a distance, the sight would have been awe-inspiring, an embodiment of raw power and precision that few other creatures could match in the Pleistocene world. The short-faced bear's ecological role was profound. As one of the apex predators of its era, it shaped the behavior, distribution, and survival strategies of herbivores and other carnivores alike. Herd animals constantly adapted their migration routes and vigilance in response to the hunting patterns of these bears. Dire wolves, saber-toothed cats, and other carnivores were forced to compete with Arctodus for prey, scavenging from its kills or avoiding confrontations entirely. Fossil evidence suggests that the short-faced bear often dominated carcasses, using its size to intimidate other predators and control valuable resources. Early humans entering this world would have quickly learned the dangers and opportunities presented by such dominance, observing patterns to avoid attacks or to exploit the bear's kills for scavenging a delicate balance of caution and ingenuity. Human interactions with short-faced bears were rare but significant. Direct confrontation with a fully grown individual was nearly suicidal, but early humans likely observed, respected, and occasionally scavenged from its kills. Archaeological sites reveal butchered bones with claw and bite marks, suggesting that humans may have opportunistically taken advantage of carcasses abandoned or forcibly left by these enormous predators. The presence of short-faced bears would have influenced settlement locations, hunting strategies, and human movement across the landscape. Fire, coordinated group tactics, and careful observation were essential tools in ensuring human survival alongside such a formidable predator. In many ways, encounters with Arctodus shaped early human cognition, social coordination, and cultural stories. Myths likely arose around the immense power and dominance of these creatures. Fossil evidence paints a vivid picture of the short-faced bear's life. Skeletal remains from sites across North and South America reveal long, powerful limbs, robust teeth, and evidence of healed injuries, indicating a life of hunting, competition, and survival. Trackways and footprints suggest that, unlike many modern bears, Arctodus roamed vast territories, using its endurance and speed to cover large distances in search of prey. Analysis of bone chemistry indicates a diet heavily reliant on large herbivores, confirming its role as a top predator rather than a scavenger or omnivore. For early humans observing these behaviors, the bear's movements, hunting patterns, and feeding habits provided lessons in survival, emphasizing the importance of timing, strategy, and environmental awareness. The extinction of the short-faced bear around 11,000 years ago was part of a broader megafaunal collapse. Climate change transformed landscapes, altering forests, plains, and river systems that Arctodus depended upon. The decline of large herbivores reduced the bear's food supply, while human expansion, hunting, and habitat disturbance further pressured populations. Unlike smaller or more adaptable carnivores, the short-faced bear's specialization for large prey made survival increasingly difficult. Its disappearance marked a significant shift in Pleistocene predator-prey dynamics, removing one of the most powerful terrestrial predators and reshaping ecological interactions. For early humans, this extinction reduced the immediate threat of giant carnivores, but also altered hunting opportunities and the balance of ecosystems that had been finely tuned for millennia. For the humans who shared the landscape with Arctodus, the short-faced bear was both a source of fear and a teacher. Observing its hunting tactics, movements, and feeding behavior informed early human strategies for survival, from timing hunts to avoiding predation. Its enormous size and strength exemplified the extremes of adaptation in the Ice Age, illustrating the limits of predator capability and the importance of knowledge, vigilance, and coordination in survival. In myths, stories, and possibly rituals, the bear likely held a symbolic role, representing danger, power, and the unforgiving rhythms of life in the Pleistocene. The short-faced bear survives only in fossils, trackways, and scientific reconstructions. Yet its impact on ecosystems and human understanding endures. For scientists, Arctodus provides insight into predator-prey dynamics, evolutionary specialization, and the challenges faced by megafauna at the end of the Ice Age. For early humans, Encountering this predator was an unforgettable experience, shaping cognition, culture, and survival strategies. In its immense power, speed, and dominance, the short-faced bear stands as one of the most extraordinary creatures ever to roam the earth, a true titan of the Pleistocene, whose legacy continues to inspire awe and curiosity across millennia. The woolly rhinoceros. Amid the vast, windswept steppes and frozen tundras of Ice Age Europe and Northern Asia, a massive, armoured herbivore trudged across the landscape. The woolly rhinoceros, Coelodonta antiquitatis. Cloaked in a dense coat of long, shaggy hair to withstand temperatures plunging well below freezing, this formidable beast was one of the most iconic megafauna of the Pleistocene. Standing over 6 feet tall at the shoulder, with a massive body covered in thick skin and a pair of prominent curved horns, the woolly rhinoceros was both an imposing presence and a vital component of the frigid ecosystems it inhabited. To the first humans who encountered it, the woolly rhinoceros represented both sustenance and danger, a living fortress of muscle and horn that demanded respect, careful observation, and strategic planning. The anatomy of the woolly rhinoceros was uniquely adapted to the harsh Ice Age climate. Its long, thick coat insulated against extreme cold, while a robust body and short legs enabled stability on icy and uneven terrain. The 2 horns, the larger of which could reach up to 5 feet in length, were not only defensive weapons, but also tools for foraging. The rhino could sweep away snow to access buried vegetation or strip bark from trees in search of nutrients during lean winters. Its massive head and strong jaw allowed it to graze on tough grasses, shrubs, and low-lying plants, which formed the bulk of its diet. For early humans encountering the woolly rhinoceros, the animal's size, strength, and defensive capabilities would have made direct hunting a challenge, requiring ingenuity, patience, and cooperation to safely exploit this resource. The ecological role of the woolly rhinoceros extended far beyond its impressive stature. As a mega herbivore, it shaped the plant communities of the tundra and steppe, preventing overgrowth, maintaining open plains, and influencing the distribution of other species. By grazing selectively and trampling vegetation, the rhino created microhabitats that supported smaller mammals, birds, and insect populations. Its dung acted as fertilizer, nourishing the soil and dispersing seeds that ensured plant regeneration. Early humans tracking these giants would have been keenly aware of the signs of their passage: flattened grass, trampled shrubs, and the occasional wallow or feeding site. Observing these patterns allowed humans to locate rich grazing areas, follow seasonal movements, and exploit opportunities for hunting or scavenging without directly confronting the rhino's formidable defenses. Despite their size, woolly rhinoceroses could be vulnerable under certain circumstances. Like other Pleistocene megafauna, their survival depended on access to sufficient food and water. During harsh winters, weakened individuals could become targets not only for large predators like cave lions or short-faced bears, but also for early humans seeking sustenance. Archaeological evidence suggests that humans employed a variety of strategies to hunt or scavenge rhinos, including coordinated drives, pit traps, or ambushes using fire and distraction techniques. Even in these cases, humans approached with extreme caution. The rhino's massive horns, thick skin, and sheer force meant that a single defensive strike could be lethal. Learning to interact safely with such creatures required observation, skill, and careful planning lessons that would inform early human survival strategies across generations. Fossil evidence offers remarkable insight into the life and habits of the woolly rhinoceros. Well-preserved carcasses recovered from Siberian permafrost have revealed intact skin, hair, and even stomach contents, providing a vivid picture of diet, physiology, and adaptations. Skeletal remains show muscular builds and specialized horn structures that suggest the rhinos could fend off predators and rivals alike. Fossilized footprints and trackways indicate seasonal migrations and preferred habitats, reflecting a keen awareness of environmental conditions. Early humans observing these signs would have gained invaluable knowledge: where to find water, which grazing areas were frequented, and how to anticipate the movements of such massive animals. The woolly rhinoceros was not merely prey, it was an integral teacher in the early human understanding of the Pleistocene world. The extinction of the woolly rhinoceros around 10,000 years ago highlights the vulnerability of specialized megafauna. As the Ice Age ended, climate warming transformed the tundras and steppes into forests and wetlands, reducing the open habitats that the rhino depended upon. Human hunting pressure, although likely sporadic, may have further contributed to their decline, particularly in areas where rhinos were already stressed by environmental changes. The disappearance of the woolly rhinoceros had cascading effects on the ecosystem. Plant communities were altered, herbivore populations shifted, and predator-prey dynamics were reshaped. The loss of this keystone species exemplifies the fragile balance between climate, megafauna, and the evolving presence of humans in these ecosystems. For the first humans who shared the Ice Age steppes with woolly rhinoceroses, encounters with these giants were both perilous and instructive. Observing the rhino's movements, seasonal patterns, and defensive behaviors provided critical lessons in timing, strategy, and environmental awareness. Humans learned to respect the rhino's strength while exploiting opportunities safely, skills that reinforced cooperation, planning, and knowledge transmission within groups. Artistic representations of the woolly rhinoceros in cave paintings, such as those at Chauvet and Colebuaya, suggest that humans revered these animals not only as sources of sustenance, but also as symbols of endurance, power, and the frozen landscapes they navigated. The woolly rhinoceroses survive only as fossilized remains, permafrost-preserved carcasses, and scientific reconstructions. Yet their legacy endures in the lessons they impart about survival, adaptation, and the intricate relationships between humans and Ice Age megafauna. For early humans, the woolly rhinoceros was more than an animal. It was a formidable neighbor, a challenge to be respected, and a living testament to the resilience required to survive in a world dominated by giants. In its massive, armored body, long curved horns, and slow, deliberate movements, the woolly rhinoceros encapsulates the awe-inspiring majesty of Pleistocene ecosystems and the delicate balance that sustained life in the frozen steppes of the past. The Irish elk. Across the open plains, forests, and wetlands of Pleistocene, Europe, and Asia, an extraordinary herbivore roamed Megaloceros giganteus, more commonly known as the Irish elk. Despite its name, this giant deer was not confined to Ireland. Its range extended across Eurasia, from the British Isles to Siberia. Standing nearly 7 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing up to 1,500 pounds, the Irish elk was a breathtaking presence in the Ice Age landscapes. Its most striking feature was its enormous antlers, spanning up to 12 feet from tip to tip, making it one of the largest antlered animals to have ever lived. To the first humans who witnessed these giants, the Irish elk must have inspired awe, combining elegance and power in a way no other herbivore could, while simultaneously presenting formidable challenges for survival and hunting. The anatomy of the Irish elk was a masterpiece of evolutionary design. Its long legs allowed it to move swiftly across open terrain, evading predators with bursts of speed and agility. The antlers, while visually impressive, served multiple purposes beyond display. They were used in dominance contests during mating season, allowing males to establish hierarchy and access to mates. The elk's robust neck and powerful shoulders supported these massive structures, while strong digestive systems allowed it to process a variety of tough, fibrous plants, grasses, and shrubs. Observing these animals in the wild, early humans would have marveled at their size, speed, and grace, while recognizing the practical challenges they posed. Hunting a fully grown Irish elk required skill, coordination, and an intimate understanding of the animal's behavior. The ecological role of the Irish elk was significant. As a large herbivore, it influenced vegetation patterns by grazing selectively and browsing on shrubs and young trees, helping maintain open habitats that supported diverse plant and animal communities. Its seasonal movements in search of food and water affected the distribution of other herbivores and predators alike. Predators such as cave lions, direwolves, and humans adapted their hunting strategies in response to the elk's behavior, particularly during the vulnerable mating season, when males were focused on competition rather than evasion. Fossilized tracks and remains suggest that Irish elks migrated over vast distances, creating trails that shaped the landscapes, dispersed seeds, and contributed to nutrient cycling, a living force shaping the ecosystems of Ice Age Europe and Asia. Human interactions with Irish elk were complex and strategic. Direct confrontation with a full-grown male carrying enormous antlers was extremely dangerous, requiring careful planning and group coordination. Archaeological evidence indicates that humans hunted these animals, targeting young, sick, or isolated individuals to minimize risk. But even in these cases, humans needed to understand herd dynamics, seasonal behavior, and environmental cues. Successful hunting required cooperation, ambush strategies, and an awareness of predators' patterns, emphasizing the sophistication of early human cognition and social organization. Beyond meat, elk bones, antlers, and hides were invaluable resources, used for tools, shelter, ornaments, and possibly ceremonial purposes, demonstrating the deep integration of these animals into human survival and culture. Fossil evidence of the Irish elk provides insight into its life, growth, and extinction. Skeletal remains, including exceptionally well-preserved skulls and antlers, reveal patterns of growth, sexual dimorphism, and signs of disease or injury. Analysis of isotopic signatures in bones shows dietary preferences and seasonal movements, confirming their role as grazers and occasional browsers. Observing such patterns would have helped early humans anticipate migration routes, locate herds, and plan hunting strategies. Moreover, fossilized antlers found in human contexts suggest symbolic or artistic use, highlighting a cultural dimension beyond mere survival. The elk's presence was not only ecological, but deeply intertwined with human perception, creativity, and strategy in the Pleistocene world. The extinction of the Irish elk, around 7,700 years ago, was the result of multiple factors, primarily climate change and human pressures. As the Ice Age ended, rising temperatures and changing vegetation reduced the open grasslands that these animals depended upon, while forests expanded, fragmenting their habitats. Their massive antlers, while advantageous for mating displays, may have made movement through dense vegetation more difficult, further reducing their adaptability. Hunting by humans likely exacerbated these pressures, particularly in combination with habitat fragmentation. The disappearance of this iconic herbivore transformed ecosystems, removing a keystone species that had helped shape vegetation structure, predator-prey dynamics, and nutrient cycling across vast landscapes. For the first humans who encountered Irish elk, these giants were both formidable and instructive. Observing their behavior, dominance contests, and seasonal migrations provided critical lessons in timing, strategy, and environmental awareness. Hunting and resource utilization reinforced group coordination, communication, and problem-solving skills, while the elk's size and elegance likely inspired awe, artistic expression, and cultural significance. Cave paintings, carvings, and symbolic artifacts suggest that humans did not merely survive alongside these animals they observed, learned, and incorporated the elk into their worldview, recognizing it as a force of both natural and cultural importance. The Irish elk survives only in fossils and reconstructions, but its legacy endures. For scientists, it provides insight into Pleistocene ecology, megafaunal adaptations, and the interplay between climate, human activity, and extinction. For early humans, encountering such giants was a defining aspect of life in the Ice Age, teaching lessons in survival, strategy, and reverence for the natural world. In the massive antlers, graceful movements, and seasonal migrations of the Irish elk, we glimpse the majesty of a vanished world, a world where humans coexisted with animals of extraordinary scale, learning from their presence and adapting to the challenges they posed. The Irish elk, in its power, beauty, and ecological influence, stands as a symbol of the grandeur and fragility of life during the last Ice Age. The giant beaver. In the rivers, lakes, and wetlands of Pleistocene North America, an extraordinary rodent shaped its environment like no other, the giant beaver, Castoroides ohioensis. Far exceeding the size of modern beavers, this colossal herbivore could reach lengths of up to 8 feet and weigh over 200 pounds, dwarfing even the largest modern relatives. With massive incisors and a powerful tail, the giant beaver was a master engineer of its aquatic domain, capable of manipulating trees, digging canals, and constructing dams that transformed entire waterways. For the first humans who observed these creatures, the giant beaver represented both a marvel of natural engineering and a vital resource, embodying the interdependence of life and environment during the Pleistocene. The anatomy of the giant beaver was a combination of strength, precision, and adaptation to aquatic life. Its broad, paddle-like tail assisted in swimming and balance, while its large, chisel-shaped incisors could fell trees and strip bark with efficiency unparalleled among rodents. Its robust body allowed it to maneuver both in water and on land, enabling it to forage along riverbanks, transport branches, and build complex structures. The feet were partially webbed, granting it stability in water, and its dense fur insulated it against the cold of glacial meltwaters. Early humans would have been captivated by the giant beaver's combination of size, power, and intelligence. Observing its industrious behavior and the transformative impact it had on freshwater ecosystems. The ecological role of the giant beaver was profound. By felling trees, constructing lodges, and damming streams, it created wetland habitats that supported diverse communities of fish, amphibians, birds, and invertebrates. These modifications influenced water flow, sediment deposition, and nutrient cycling, turning slow-moving rivers into rich, productive ecosystems. Seasonal migrations and foraging patterns determined which areas were modified most heavily, creating a dynamic mosaic of wetland habitats that benefited numerous species. Early humans could capitalize on this ecological engineering by observing giant beaver activity. Dams concentrated fish, lodges provided shelter for waterfowl, and felled trees offered material for tools, firewood, or construction, demonstrating the intertwined fates of humans and these remarkable rodents. Interactions between humans and giant beavers were both cautious and opportunistic. Though not dangerous predators, their size and strength made direct capture challenging. Early humans likely hunted juveniles or opportunistically trapped individuals using water-based techniques. Archaeological evidence suggests that beaver teeth, bones, and hides were utilized for tools, ornamentation, and clothing. Observing their behavior and engineering feats provided critical insight into aquatic ecosystems, influencing human understanding of waterways, seasonal changes, and the availability of freshwater resources. The giant beaver exemplified a species whose influence extended beyond itself, shaping landscapes that humans would learn to exploit and navigate. Fossil evidence offers a rich portrait of the giant beaver's life and behavior. Skeletal remains reveal massive incisors, robust limb bones, and adaptations for aquatic locomotion. Analysis of wear patterns on teeth and jaw morphology indicates a diet primarily composed of bark, aquatic vegetation, and soft plant material. Fossilized lodges and dam remnants provide insight into construction techniques, social behavior, and habitat selection. By studying these remains, scientists have reconstructed the beaver's influence on water systems, its interactions with other species, and the strategies humans may have employed to coexist with or exploit it. For early humans, careful observation of the giant beaver's activity offered lessons in engineering, resource management, and the ecological relationships that underpin survival in a dynamic Ice Age landscape. The extinction of the giant beaver, roughly 10,000 years ago, reflects the combination of environmental change and human activity. As the Pleistocene ended, warming climates, rising water temperatures, and changing vegetation altered wetland ecosystems, reducing the availability of suitable habitat for these large rodents. Concurrently, increased hunting pressure from humans may have contributed to population declines, especially in localized areas. The disappearance of the giant beaver had significant ecological consequences. Wetlands became less structured, fish populations shifted, and the intricate networks of rivers and ponds that supported numerous species were altered. Its extinction underscores how even non-predatory megafauna, through their environmental influence, were deeply intertwined with both ecological and human systems. Observing and interacting with giant beavers provided lessons in ingenuity, adaptability, and ecological awareness. These rodents demonstrated the transformative power of individual species on landscapes, showing humans the potential of engineering and resource manipulation in survival. Their lodges and dams became microhabitats for other creatures, illustrating the ripple effects of ecological behavior that humans could exploit for sustenance, shelter, and planning. The giant beaver, in its industriousness, size, and environmental impact, symbolized the intricate connections between species and the habitats they shape, a lesson early humans could apply in navigating the challenges of Pleistocene life. The giant beaver survives only as fossilized remains, preserved teeth, and reconstructed lodges, yet its legacy continues. For scientists, it provides insights into the engineering capabilities of large rodents, Pleistocene wetland ecology, and the interactions between humans and ecosystem-modifying species. For early humans, it was a source of food, materials, observation, and inspiration, a reminder that survival depended not only on direct interaction with predators or prey, but also on understanding and exploiting the broader ecological processes that shaped the landscape. In its massive incisors, aquatic agility, and environmental influence, the giant beaver stands as a testament to the ingenuity of nature, leaving behind a lasting mark on Ice Age rivers and wetlands that echoes through time. The giant tortoise. In the sun-drenched plains, lush forests, and volcanic islands of the Pleistocene, a living tank of unparalleled endurance and longevity roamed the giant tortoise. These prehistoric reptiles, including species like Cylindraspis in the Indian Ocean and Chelonoidis relatives in the Americas, were among the slowest yet most imposing herbivores of their time. Some individuals reached shell lengths of over 6 feet and weights exceeding 800 pounds, moving with deliberate determination across landscapes. For the first humans who encountered them, giant tortoises were both a source of fascination and a practical resource, embodying the persistence of nature and the often overlooked power of size and resilience in the animal kingdom. The anatomy of the giant tortoise reflects its slow but steady mastery of the land. Enclosed within a domed, armoured shell, it carried its defence on its back, impervious to the bite of most predators. Its strong, stumpy legs supported immense weight while allowing for surprisingly efficient locomotion over uneven terrain. Its beaked mouth was perfectly adapted to stripping leaves, cacti, and tough vegetation, while its neck, in some species, extended to reach higher foliage. These tortoises were not fast movers, but their longevity, often exceeding a century, allowed them to persist across environmental cycles, grazing continuously and shaping the vegetation around them. Early humans observing these creatures would have noted not only their size and endurance, but also their ability to survive in habitats where other megafauna struggled. The ecological role of giant tortoises was profound and multifaceted. As herbivores, they influence plant communities by selective grazing, trampling vegetation, and dispersing seeds over wide areas. Their droppings enriched the soil, supporting plant growth and creating microhabitats for insects, small reptiles, and birds. On islands, where ecosystems were delicate and species interactions tightly constrained, giant tortoises acted as ecosystem engineers, shaping the very structure of vegetation and water distribution. Early humans would have recognized the importance of these slow-moving giants, using their presence to locate edible plants, freshwater sources, and predictable migration patterns, highlighting the interconnectedness of Pleistocene life. Human interactions with giant tortoises were both cautious and opportunistic. While these reptiles were slow and defenseless against humans with tools, their immense size made them a considerable undertaking to hunt. Early humans exploited them for meat, fat, and even their hard shells, which could be repurposed as storage containers, shelters, or simple tools. Fossil evidence and archaeological sites indicate that humans in the Caribbean and Indian Ocean islands selectively harvested tortoises, sometimes driving them into enclosures or traps. Observing their behavior, including grazing areas and nesting sites, humans could plan sustainable interactions that balanced risk, effort, and reward. Unlike predators such as lions or bears, the tortoise's lethargy allowed humans to approach with careful strategy, making them both a reliable resource and a subject of early ecological understanding. Fossil evidence provides a vivid window into the life of giant tortoises. Skeletal remains reveal thick, domed shells and robust limb bones, while isotopic analysis of preserved bones informs scientists about diets, seasonal movements, and habitat preferences. Fossilized trackways demonstrate migratory paths, nesting behavior, and interactions with other species, providing clues about ecosystem dynamics and the tortoise's role in shaping landscapes. Evidence of human exploitation, such as cut marks and butchery sites, reflects the careful observation and planning required to utilize these animals safely. For early humans, The tortoise was a model of slow, persistent influence on its environment, a reminder that size, longevity, and steady adaptation can rival speed or ferocity in ecological significance. The extinction of giant tortoises in many regions, including the Caribbean and Madagascar, reflects the vulnerability of island and isolated populations to human activity. Overhunting for meat, fat, and shells decimated populations, while habitat modification and introduced species further stressed their survival. Unlike continental megafauna, island tortoises had evolved without significant predators, leaving them ill-equipped to cope with the sudden arrival of humans. Their disappearance reshaped island ecosystems, leading to altered vegetation patterns, reduced seed dispersal, and cascading effects on birds, reptiles, and insects that had relied on tortoise-modified habitats. The extinction of these giants underscores the delicate balance between slow-moving species and rapid ecological disruption, highlighting the impact of humans even on seemingly resilient animals. For early humans who shared their environments with giant tortoises, these reptiles were more than a food source. They were teachers of patience, observation, and ecosystem awareness. Studying their grazing patterns, seasonal movements, and nesting behavior offered insights into the rhythms of local habitats, guiding human subsistence strategies, settlement patterns, and resource management. Their remarkable longevity also provided a living connection to generational knowledge, as tortoises could outlive humans, symbolizing continuity and resilience. In observing and interacting with these slow giants, humans learned to respect persistence, balance, and ecological interconnectedness in ways that were crucial for survival in diverse Pleistocene landscapes. Giant tortoises survive only in select regions, such as the Galapagos and Aldabra, but many Pleistocene species have vanished. Fossils, shells, and reconstructed habitats preserve their legacy, providing insight into ancient island and continental ecosystems, megafaunal adaptations, and human impact. For early humans, these reptiles were more than food. They were living monuments of endurance, strength, and ecological influence. In their immense size, slow deliberation, and environmental engineering, giant tortoises stand as enduring symbols of Pleistocene biodiversity, reminding us that survival and influence are not always measured by speed or predation, but by persistence, resilience, and the subtle shaping of the world around them. The Glyptodon. Across the grasslands, savannas, and open woodlands of Pleistocene South America, a living fortress wandered the Glyptodon, a massive armoured mammal resembling a prehistoric tank. Belonging to the same family as modern armadillos, Glyptodons could grow over 10 feet long and weigh more than 2,000 pounds, their bodies sheathed in thick, bony plates and a heavy, spiked tail that served as both a weapon and a defensive tool. To the first humans who encountered them, Glyptodons were both a curiosity and a challenge. Herbivorous giants, capable of withstanding attacks, shaping vegetation, and commanding attention in a world dominated by predators, prey, and other megafauna. Their presence underscored the diversity and complexity of Pleistocene ecosystems in South America. The anatomy of Glyptodons reveals adaptations both for defense and foraging. Their massive carapace, composed of fused osteoderms, functioned as impenetrable armor, protecting against attacks from saber-toothed cats, short-faced bears, and even human hunters armed with primitive weapons. The tail, tipped with bone knobs or spikes in some species, could deliver formidable blows to predators or rivals. Despite their heavy armor, Glyptodons were primarily herbivorous, feeding on grasses, shrubs, and tough vegetation, with broad, flat teeth adapted for grinding coarse plant matter. Their sturdy legs supported enormous body weight while enabling slow but steady movement across open landscapes. Early humans observing these creatures would have recognized them as both a resource and a formidable obstacle prey that required strategy, patience, and teamwork to exploit. The ecological role of glyptodons was substantial. As megaherbivores, they influenced grassland composition, seed dispersal, and nutrient cycling. Grazing by glyptodons kept grasslands open, preventing overgrowth of shrubs and facilitating habitats for smaller herbivores and predators. Their dung enriched the soil, fostering plant growth and providing resources for insects and microorganisms. Fossilized trackways suggest that glyptodons may have traveled in loose herds, creating trails that influenced the movement patterns of other species. For early humans, these environmental modifications offered both guidance and opportunity. Areas grazed by glyptodons could provide edible plants, while trails and feeding sites allowed hunters to predict movement patterns and plan ambushes. Human interactions with glyptodons were complex and hazardous. Despite their herbivorous nature, their sheer size and armored defenses made hunting a dangerous endeavor. Archaeological evidence, including cut marks on shells and bones, indicates that humans sometimes exploited young, injured, or isolated individuals. Coordinated hunting strategies, involving driving glyptodons into traps or ambushes, would have required significant planning, intelligence, and cooperation. Beyond food, glyptodons provided resources such as bones for tools, shells for shelter or storage, and possibly inspiration for symbolic or ritualistic practices. Observing these armored giants helped humans develop ecological awareness, social coordination, and the ability to manage risk in the presence of megafauna capable of withstanding nearly any threat. Fossil evidence offers a rich window into glyptodon biology, behavior, and interactions with humans. Skeletal remains reveal the structure of the carapace, limb proportions, and dental adaptations, while isotopic analyses shed light on diet and habitat preference. Trackways and preserved burrows indicate movement patterns, herd behavior, and habitat selection. Sites with human artifacts demonstrate strategic hunting or scavenging and suggest cultural significance beyond mere sustenance. For early humans, learning from these fossils directly observed or through interactions meant understanding the balance of power, the importance of herd dynamics, and the necessity of planning and coordination when interacting with large, armored megafauna. The extinction of glyptodons, approximately 10,000 years ago, illustrates the vulnerability of even heavily armored species to rapid environmental and anthropogenic change. Climate warming, habitat transformation, and shifts in vegetation altered their food supply and distribution, while human hunting exerted additional pressure. The disappearance of glyptodons had significant ecological consequences. Grasslands experienced altered vegetation patterns, nutrient cycles changed, and predator-prey dynamics shifted as a major herbivore vanished from the landscape. Their extinction highlights the delicate equilibrium of Pleistocene ecosystems, emphasizing that no defense armor, size, or strength could guarantee survival against a combination of environmental stress and human ingenuity. For the first humans living alongside glyptodons, encounters were instructive, challenging, and formative. Observing these armored giants provided lessons in patience, planning, and understanding animal behavior. Hunting required strategic coordination, social cooperation, and respect for a creature whose defensive adaptations made it almost invincible to unprepared predators. Beyond practical lessons, glyptodons may have held symbolic significance, representing strength, endurance, and the formidable power of nature itself. Their presence shaped not only survival strategies, but also the early development of human cultural understanding of megafauna, inspiring caution, awe, and ingenuity. Glyptodons survive only as fossilized remains, reconstructed skeletons, and scientific models, yet their legacy endures. For paleontologists, they provide insights into megaherbivore ecology, armored adaptations, and interactions between humans and large Pleistocene mammals. For early humans, glyptodons were both adversaries and teachers, shaping survival strategies, social behavior, and environmental awareness. In their immense size, armored protection, and slow, deliberate movements across the South American plains, glyptodons remain enduring symbols of the Pleistocene, a testament to resilience, ecological influence, and the intricate dance between humans and the giants that once walked alongside them. The Thylacine, Tasmanian tiger. In the dense forests, open woodlands, and grasslands of Pleistocene Australia, a creature of unparalleled cunning and adaptability, hunted under the cover of dusk, the thylacine, often referred to as the Tasmanian tiger due to its striking striped coat. Though it superficially resembled a wolf or large dog, the thylacine was a marsupial predator, a rare example of convergent evolution, where nature produced a carnivorous species with canine-like hunting traits, but distinctly marsupial biology. Adult thylacines measured about 6 feet from nose to tail tip, with muscular limbs, a stiff tail, and a large jaw capable of delivering lethal bites. For the first humans who saw them, thylacines were enigmatic hunters, blending stealth, intelligence, and efficiency in ways that reflected the subtle complexities of Pleistocene predation. The anatomy of the thylacine was perfectly suited for stalking and ambushing prey. Its long, slender body and flexible spine allowed it to move silently through dense undergrowth, while its large eyes and keen sense of smell enabled it to detect small mammals and birds at considerable distances. The jaw could open up to 120 degrees, an adaptation allowing it to capture and secure struggling prey. Unlike placental carnivores, thylacines carried their young in a forward-facing pouch, combining predatory skill with marsupial reproductive strategies. Early humans would have observed these traits carefully, noting the animal's hunting style, nocturnal habits, and preference for ambush over direct confrontation knowledge, essential for avoiding dangerous encounters or exploiting ecological opportunities. The ecological role of thylacines was both specialized and impactful. As apex predators of their ecosystems, they regulated populations of smaller mammals, birds, and reptiles, keeping prey species balanced and preventing overpopulation that could degrade vegetation. By targeting weak, sick, or isolated animals, thylacines indirectly promoted genetic health among prey populations. They competed with other predators, such as large monitor lizards, eagles, and, occasionally, humans, for resources. Their presence influenced prey behavior, leading to the development of early warning systems among smaller animals, the timing of foraging, and migration patterns. Early humans observing these dynamics would have gained valuable insight into predator-prey interactions, animal behavior, and ecosystem structure. Human interactions with thylacines were rare but significant. Their nocturnal habits, elusive nature, and speed made them difficult to hunt, yet humans did occasionally trap or kill them for food, fur, or cultural purposes. Evidence suggests that indigenous Australians may have encountered thylacines and incorporated them into oral traditions, recognizing their role as both predator and participant in ecological balance. Unlike encounters with megafauna such as mammoths or giant sloths, humans could approach thylacines with relative safety, learning patterns, dens, and hunting behaviors to either avoid conflict or exploit opportunities. Observing these creatures reinforced early human understanding of stealth, patience, and observation skills transferable to hunting, gathering, and survival in a diverse and often dangerous environment. Fossil and subfossil evidence provides detailed insight into thylacine biology, behavior, and human interaction. Skeletal remains reveal limb proportions suited for speed and endurance, dental structures adapted for a carnivorous diet, and robust musculature for tackling prey. Trackways, dens, and preserved remains indicate territory size, social behavior, and activity patterns, including nocturnal hunting and denning strategies. Archaeological sites demonstrate human knowledge of thylacines, including their occasional use as food, fur, or symbolic reference. For early humans, understanding the subtle signals, movements, and environmental preferences of thylacines was a lesson in ecological awareness, predator psychology, and strategic interaction with a skilled carnivore. The extinction of the thylacine on mainland Australia occurred thousands of years before humans arrived in Tasmania, likely due to climate change, competition with dingoes, and environmental pressures. However, their disappearance from Tasmania in the 20th century reflects human impact directly. Hunting, habitat destruction, and introduced species drove the final populations to extinction. The loss of thylacines disrupted ecosystems, leading to shifts in prey populations, changes in predator-prey dynamics, and altered ecological balances in both forests and grasslands. Their extinction serves as a reminder that even elusive, intelligent, and adaptable predators are vulnerable to rapid environmental change and human activity, a lesson from the Pleistocene echoing into modern conservation challenges. The thylacine was more than just prey or predator. It was a teacher of subtlety, strategy, and observation. Its elusive movements, nocturnal hunting, and ability to avoid larger threats demonstrated the value of patience, timing, and careful study of animal behavior. Indigenous knowledge likely incorporated thylacines into cultural narratives, emphasizing respect for predators, awareness of ecological interactions, and recognition of the delicate balance within ecosystems. The lessons offered by observing thylacines extended beyond immediate survival. They provided insight into the rhythms of life, the interplay of predator and prey, and the broader patterns shaping the natural world. The thylacine survives only in photographs, subfossil remains, and scientific study, yet its legacy continues to inspire fascination. For researchers, it illuminates marsupial evolution, predator ecology, and human-wildlife interactions in Pleistocene and Holocene Australia. For early humans, it was a living emblem of stealth, efficiency, and ecological balance, a creature whose presence shaped both practical survival strategies and cultural understanding. In its striped coat, elongated frame, and deliberate hunting techniques, the thylacine exemplifies the nuanced diversity of Pleistocene carnivores, reminding us that even medium-sized predators could exert significant influence on ecosystems and human experience.